Hello friends, welcome to today's session. Today we are going to discuss about the COP22, which has been in news in 2016 in the month of November. So what we need to know about it is that the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, that is the UNFCCC, that is the three C's at the end of UNF, entered into force in the 1994, and it aimed at reducing the greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere. So this is like the history before we move on to the COP22. So the UNFCCC, it had entered into force in 1994 and aimed at reducing the greenhouse gas concentration in the atmosphere. So at that time only, the COP, that is the Conference of Parties, it was designated as the supreme governing body of the convention. And till date, 195 countries have submitted their instruments of ratification. So these countries, what they do is that they meet once a year, mostly during 2 weeks or so, in order to evaluate the application of the convention and develop the negotiation process between the parties in front of the new commitments. So by virtue of this convention, all the parties have common but differentiated responsibilities. Okay. And in addition to that, they take into account the specific nature of their national and regional developmental priorities. That is, under what circumstances and what will be their goals. So they take up all these things. And then we come to the COP22. It was the 12th session of the Conference of the Parties, serving as the meeting of the parties to the Kyoto Protocol, and the first session of the Conference of Parties, serving as the meeting of the parties to the Paris Agreement, and it was held in Marrakesh in Morocco from 7th to 18th of November 2016. Hence it's important from the exam point of view because it is under the last 1 year current affairs, which is usually what an aspirant covers while appearing in the exam. So we need to know the name of the place where it is. So question might be asked from there. And again, several substantive details remain to be worked out, and in fact it will be completed only by 2018. So this includes accounting of the NDCs, adaptation communication, building a transparency framework, the global stocktake every 5 years, and other procedures that facilitate the implementation of and compliance with the agreement. So the financial support for developing country action on the NDCs, it was an important agenda item of this meeting. Okay, as the same thing was with the issue of the transparency. So these two were very important topics that were taken up in the meeting. And one of the remarkable announcements of this COP22 was the pledge by the Climate Vulnerable Forum. Now, what is this Climate Vulnerable Forum? It is a forum comprising of 48 LDCs, that is the least developed countries, including Bangladesh, Ethiopia, and South Sudan, to get 100% of their energy from renewables by 2050. So this is a very big thing that they have pledged to use 100% of their energy from renewable sources by 2050. And another thing is that 165 subnational jurisdictions, which are calling themselves as the under twos, that is, they have announced that they would reduce their emissions by 80 to 95% below the 1990 levels and limit their per capita emissions to under 2 tons of carbon dioxide by 2050. So that is why they are called under twos. That is, they will reduce their per capita emission to under 2 tons of carbon dioxide by 2050. And then Science Based Targets Initiative, got a boost in this Marrakesh COP22, and when over 200 companies worldwide, they committed to emissions reduction targets. Okay, now another thing is that, which I would say is the last important point regarding COP22, is that with regard to the Warsaw International Mechanism for Loss and Damage, the framework for a 5-year rolling work plan was also approved. So these are some of the points that one must remember for solving the MCQs on COP22. So that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.